For centuries, classical and Christian philosophers shared a strict baseline for leadership. They taught that a ruler had to be inherently good, exceptionally just, and deeply pious to govern effectively. Niccolò Machiavelli observed a different reality. He noted that human beings are restless, fickle, and prone to evil. They are highly acquisitive, driven by a natural, ordinary desire to acquire property and status that can never be fully satisfied. This cynical view came directly from the streets of his home. 16th century Florence was a dense, walled city torn apart by violent, combative factions and endless political instability. In a society filled with people willing to act ruthlessly, a leader who insists on remaining purely good ensures their own ruin. To survive, a ruler must learn exactly how not to be good. Machiavelli called this the veritate effectuale, or the effectual truth. It is a strict mandate to prioritize the ugly reality of how men actually live over the imagination of how they should live. He codified this departure from classical morality into an explicit set of instructions for rulers, famously published as El Principe, or The Prince. In the brutal mechanics of statecraft, traditional morality offers no protection. It acts as a fatal political liability. To replace traditional morality, Machiavelli introduced virtù. Distinct from Christian virtue, virtù is a framework of severe self-reliance, aggressive self-assertion, and the capacity to bend reality to your will. A leader with virtù relies entirely on their own arms. Depending on the goodwill of allies, the loyalty of paid mercenaries, or the luck of a favorable situation guarantees failure. This requires a specific psychological discipline. A ruler must maintain a relentless drive to act, paired with the cold, objective ability to recognize their own limitations and adapt instantly. They need this discipline to combat fortuna, or fortune. Machiavelli described fortuna as a violent, raging river that bursts its banks and uproots everything in its path, an unpredictable, destructive force of nature. Virtù is the exact measure of a ruler's ability to anticipate that destruction and impose their own order onto the chaos of unpredictable fortune. Human modes of combat, like the rule of law, frequently fail. Ambitious men seeking power simply do not respect them. When laws fail, the ruler must adopt the nature of the lion. This means deploying sheer, unhesitating force, using calculated cruelty to frighten off wolves and secure authority. But force is blind to traps. The ruler must also adopt the nature of the fox, utilizing fraud, deep deception, and cunning to manipulate enemies and maneuver out of danger. This dynamic model shows the required balance between force and fraud. A successful prince must master both natures simultaneously, adjusting in real time. Relying exclusively on either violence or deceit leaves the state vulnerable to the other. True stability relies on the surgical application of both tools. Statecraft becomes a mechanical process, entirely stripped of emotion. A ruler must internalize the brutality of the lion and the deception of the fox, but they can never afford to look like either one. The masses judge strictly by what they can see. Because of this, optics and public perception cease to be a matter of vanity and become a primary weapon of control. While executing dark, necessary actions in the shadows, the prince must maintain a flawless public exterior, appearing overwhelmingly merciful, faithful, and humane. Machiavelli intimately understood the psychological weight of this dichotomy. He knowingly designed an architecture of modern political dualism that demands a heavy toll from the person at the top. The philosophy requires profound isolation. It builds a permanent, unbridgeable divide between the leader's curated public persona and their private, ruthless reality. This is the permanence of the effectual truth. Once the illusion of inherent goodness in leadership is shattered, the stark mechanics of power cannot be unlearned. Machiavellian leadership requires a ruler to accept the damnation of their own soul to guarantee the safety and order of the state.